Hello patron and welcome back to my life. Today's question comes from Kakirtog on the old Discord server. If you're not on the Discord, by the way, you might want to join. There's lots of benefits for patrons and there's a link in the description below. And the question is about how to control your series pacing. The pacing of your book series, or any other series I guess, but I really only know about books. And the question was asked in the broader context of like, how do you make sure that you don't kind of, well, for lack of a better expression, blow your load in book one. Like, yeah, you want book one to be awesome. You want people to love it, but then you want them to also want to continue to read the rest of the series. So how do you do both those things? Like, if you put all your best ideas into book one, yeah, maybe book two just isn't going to be as good and you're going to hit the sequel curse, which is a very real thing. Like, I'll just be totally honest with you. I don't think, looking back, that Mystic is as good of a book as Nightblade was. Though, I think I did better on the Academy Journals. I genuinely think that The Mind Mage's Wrath is a better book than The Alchemist's Touch. But yeah, how do you avoid that phenomenon of pouring everything into your first work and then your second one just feels like, oh, I guess I have to do something now? For me, at least from what I know and what I've experienced and what I've tried to do, I don't really think of book series in the same way that I feel like a lot of people do. When I come up with a book series, like when I'm coming up with an individual book, I actually usually come up with the end of the series as one of my first ideas. Now, again, Nightblade is actually an exception because I didn't think that I wanted that series to end until I figured it out. But now I actually do know how Nightblade is going to end. I don't know how long it will be until it ends, but I did decide on the ending. Now, why is that good? What is the point of doing it that way? Well, when you know where your book series is going to end, everything tends to build up towards that moment. I'm a big believer in the idea that the ending of your book kind of decides how your reader feels about the book. Like if you've got a really great story that's going along and then you just screw it all up at the end, people are gonna go, well, that wasn't a very good book because it left them with this negative feeling, right? So while I'm working on an individual book, everything that I'm creating during the process of creating that book is always building up towards the ending. And I'm putting in lots of things that will be referred back to at the ending of the book, and I'm constantly thinking about how what I'm doing early on and in the middle of the story can enhance the ending of the book. Well, I am trying, at least. I haven't technically finished a series, so that's a little bit of a weakness in my argument here, but I am trying, in the books I'm writing, I'm trying to put things in that will contribute to the end of the book series that I've been envisioning for such a very long time. And this doesn't necessarily mean like a twist ending, you know, the series doesn't have to have some huge twist reveal at the end, just like all of my books don't necessarily have huge twist reveals at the end. This just means that for the conclusion of your story to feel dramatically and emotionally satisfying to the reader, there are lots of things that you can put in along the way that sort of open doors that are then closed with the closing of the back cover of the book, with the last page. Now, you don't obviously have to write a series this way. You can just start with creating a world with a single book and then take it on from there and try to grow and build the story that way. But I really do think that that sort of mentality is what leads us to a book series like The Sword of Truth. The Sword of Truth is actually a good series. I love the first book, Wizard's First Rule, love the second book, love the third book, but I was getting a little bit fatigued by the fourth book because in every single book, the author, Terry Goodkind, was just like, okay, now there's an even bigger threat. Everything is more evil. There are more bad guys. And then the end of every book, Richard Rahl would learn a new type of magic and he would defeat the bigger bad guy. And now he's even stronger. And then the next book, there were more bigger mad. Woo! It got like, you know, it was a little bit much. And I feel like that was a product of not really knowing how the series was going to end. Because when you are building towards an emotional conclusion, towards a character development conclusion, rather than just woo, whiz, bang, you are more able to, like, you don't need to grow the hero into like, oh, now they're twice as powerful. Now they're 4 times as powerful, 8 times as powerful, 16 times as powerful. You have a logical progression of a story. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say anyway. And I know I've talked about it before on the channel in general, and I think in Writer Wednesday videos, but anybody who wants a really great example of this kind of storytelling, I really think you should go watch the TV show Babylon 5. You can probably find it on Netflix or Hulu. I don't know, I haven't watched it in years. But Babylon 5 was literally created as a 5-season TV show. They They pretty much created the entire thing before they started showing any of it. So there are literally moments in the very first episode that don't pay off until the very last episode. And that is amazing. Like, there's all these cool things that happen in the first season, but it doesn't blow its load because it knows where it's going, right? There's always the next step until the story comes to its correct conclusion. So that's my tips on controlling the pacing of your story. I hope that you found it helpful. Thank you very much to Kakirtog for the question. That is all I've got for you this week. As always, if you want me to talk about something in a future Writer Wednesday video, please let me know in the comments either on Patreon or on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you as always for your incredible support, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye!